Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. First, our major stories. The decomposed body of a 12-year-old girl known as Malumba Magdalene, a pupil of Government Primary School Kumba, was discovered in an advanced state of decomposition in Kamalikum, a neighborhood in Kumba, Memet Division, southwest region of Cameroon. We'll stay in the southwest region where workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation CDC once more stormed the streets of Tiko in the southwest region. They are demanding 55 months of unpaid salaries. Why is the CDC unable to pay its workers? You'll be getting answers in the course of this newscast. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Once more, thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. We begin with a sad story. The lifeless body of a 12-year-old girl has been discovered in Kamalikum. It is a neighborhood in Kumba 1 subdivision, southwest region of Cameroon. Malumba Magdalene was reported missing over 2 weeks ago. It is suspected she was assassinated by unknown individuals. We have details with A.C. Luciliengo.
Pain and grief hits family members of 12-year-old Malumba Magdalene, allegedly assassinated and abandoned in a bush in Gamalikom, a locality in the Kumba 1 subdivision. The remains of the little girl was discovered in an advanced state of decomposition on the 11th of November 2024 during a cleanup activity.
From the state of decomposition, it is showing that this is something that happened some kind of 4 days behind. You know, this place is a plot which is not exploited, and so it is not, normal for persons to discover it on passing through the road. So it's in the course of their cleanup campaign that they usually do on Mondays that the quarter executives called me to inform me that that is what they saw.
Malumba, according to her family, had been missing for 2 weeks, 3 days, and her school bag was found beside her lifeless body. Devastated about the incident, the population of Gamalikom alerted the police and authorities who descended on the field. Equally, a medic from the district hospital of Kumba Town was on the scene for examinations. While investigations are ongoing to determine the actual cause, the remains of the 12-year-old girl was buried just beside where her decomposed body was found. Malumba Magdalene was a class 5 pupil of government school Kumba Town, Group 2.
An unfortunate incident happening over there in Kumba. We stay in the southwest region where some workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation CDC took to the street in Tiko to demand for their unpaid salaries. According to the workers, the CDC is owing them 55 months of accumulated salaries. They say they will only resume work only after their salaries have been paid. We have details with Smart Chikan Gabriel.
Amongst the several disgruntled Cameroon Development Corporation CDC workers who stormed the streets of Tiko to request for the payment of their accumulated salaries is a woman whose arm was cut in the heat of the Anglophone crisis while working at the rubber plantation of the CDC. My hand was cut while I was working at the rubber plantation. I have been working since 2015 without payment. My children now see me like a liar. I'm seen like the poorest woman in my family, and I see I'm working. I need my money. She joined others to demand for the payment of their salaries, which haven't been given to them for over 55 months now. We don't even know how much we are being owed.
Every day, workers are crying, workers are dying. Payment, there is no payment. Cry for God, it's only God can help us.
As a result of the current situation, some of the workers say things are falling apart within their families.
6 months, they never pay we.
For 6 months, we've not been paid and we are still working. They have been keeping our money and can't pay school fees for our children. Our marriages have also been destroyed because of money. We go to the hospital, but we are not treated because we don't have money. We have suffered a lot. The outing of the CDC workers was to attract the attention of local authorities within Tico and some officials of the Cameroon Development Corporation CDC in Tico, but unfortunately none showed up. The frustrated CDC workers sent this message to them.
We don't come out.
We have come out and nobody has seen the importance to come talk to us. So from this day until things are addressed, no work, and for us to make it serious, those at the banana sector will also be brought to join us. The workers are now expecting a quick reaction from the office of the General Manager of the CDC, Franklin Goninjie.
On the same vein, the General Manager of the Cameroon Development Corporation CDC says the problem that left workers to protest in some areas like Tico and Pendamboko is a known problem to them, but it wasn't totally their fault that the money the workers were expecting hasn't been paid. He was speaking to Equinoxe TV a few minutes ago. Let's take a listen to Franklin Goninjie, General Manager of the CDC, in this excerpt.
That was breaking news this morning. Our attention was drawn to that. We saw the videos of our workers who were on the streets in Tico, in Pernambuco, and in some other areas where the corporation is located. And their main grievance is salary arrears that the corporation is owing them. And that is why they took to the streets. From the side of management, it is a known problem. It's a problem we know about, and which has been the subject of a good number of working sessions with the state and other stakeholders. Progress has been made. The state has decided to take over the salary debt for the period 2018 to December 31st, 2022. It's a total of 35.7 billion about, and a convention to that effect has been signed.
And the General Manager for the CDC goes further to say that the delay observed was caused by the change of the commercial bank that was supposed to handle the money to be paid to CDC workers. According to Franklin Goninjie, they are almost completing the exercise, and the information will be presented to the Minister of Finance for the transactions to be done. Once more, let's take a listen to Franklin Goninjie in this excerpt.
The big problems that the workers have is that on the basis of the convention that was signed, management had a meeting with the workers and told the workers the progress that had been made. And there was reason for workers to have expectations that the first part of the payment, because that money is supposed to be disbursed in 2 installments, workers had reason to believe that that first installment would be paid latest September ending. That was the expectation. Unfortunately, that expectation has not been met, not because of a fault of CDC management or government. No, government has taken a decision and stands by that decision. The point in question, what caused the problem, was that the commercial bank that was retained for the execution of that, the content of that convention, there were issues of conformance and issues of capacity. So that commercial bank that was retained, we had to revisit that decision. So that it has taken a lot of time to first to call for other commercial banks to manifest their interest, carrying out negotiations with them, and submitting them to hierarchy to check, do the normal due diligence checks. So that is why we are where we are. That's why we've
Franklin Goninjie, General Manager of the Cameroon Development Corporation CDC, speaking there. We now leave the southwest region to the Adamawa region, where rising insecurity and inundations are some of the many challenges faced by evicted inhabitants of Bankim. It is a neighborhood in the Mayo-Boyo-Banyo division. According to them, they were abandoned by the government 27 years ago. Cedric Chakutio tells us more.
Inundations are some of the many challenges faced by the evicted inhabitants of Bankim, a neighborhood in the Mayo-Banyo division of the Adamawa region. The population are increasingly showing their impatience after they were abandoned on their own 27 years ago. We suffer a lot. This is too much. I can't bear this. Here I am, sick. I can't go for treatment. We were moved here, but the government abandoned us like orphans.
Nous sommes devenus comme des orphelins. Nous sommes des orphelins. Ça, c'est devenu comme un village abandonné.
This 550-kilometer-square reservoir dam has had harmful effects on their ecological environment. Today, the displaced population regret the abandonment of their forests, homes and fields carried away by the strong current since 1987. Since 1987 that the incident where the dam broke making us to move here. Up till now, we are suffering. The government left us on our own. Here we have no water, no electricity. Enough is enough. We want better living conditions.
Tous nos villages sont dans le noir. L'eau est déjà envoyée tous nos villages. Et je vais vous dire que j'en ai marre.
Apart from diseases such as ulcer now present due to the rising waters, the area is occasionally subject to acts of insecurity born with the massive arrival of fishermen from several countries. Nearly more than 20 years that we are suffering from where we were to where we are now. We are not fine. They abandoned us. Here we are like orphans. Displaced villages that dreamt of having electricity and better living conditions in their new location are still in the dark 27 years later and are awaiting solutions from the government.
Cedric Chakucho reporting there. Now we talk something else. What's happening at the Ngwele market in Bonaberi Douala 4 subdivision? Why are traders refusing to sell the newly constructed stores? We have answers in this report, compiled by Fomi Armstrong Sander.
Looking at the best option for me because
Kumchu Elvis is one of the over 700 traders who have either abandoned or plan to leave the Ngwele market in Bonaberi in the Douala 4 subdivision. Constructed and inaugurated in May 2024, this market of over 800 shops and tables was meant to host hundreds of traders displaced from the Grand Anga and Rai market in the municipality.
After that, people them can install it everywhere, take all the shops, more than 800 buy and sell them.
He says few weeks after the market was inaugurated, some over 800 traders paid and took up shops in the market before leaving in the months that followed.
I don't really explain why. Anyway.
Exactly 6 months after its inauguration, the Ngwele market today is more like a graveyard.
I am the secretary of Marché Ngwele. This is Marché Ngwele. As you can see, the market is empty. Since April that I was employed here as the secretary of the market, nothing is moving. No salary is passing due to the fact that the market is not functioning.
The few traders in the market say that they are running out of patience with their businesses, falling consistently because buyers have decided to stay back at the Rai and Grand Anga markets.
So we don't know why the market is not going on. People are passing and telling us that everything will be fine, but we are not seeing any changes.
While convincing traders and other roadside vendors to come and occupy the Ngwele market for their security, the officials of the Ngwele market are calling on the council and administrative officials to get traders out of the Grand Anga and Rai market into the Ngwele market. The few traders left in the market insist that they too will leave to make gains of the end of year businesses elsewhere if nothing is done to remedy the situation.
The National Climate Observatory has indicated that natural catastrophes could increase in most parts of the 10 regions of Cameroon between now and November 20th. Meteorologists call on authorities to be proactive in handling natural disasters so as to save lives. We have details with Staff Lady and Abila.
Le changement climatique est une menace réelle.
As the rainy season prolongs into the month of November, climate experts say the drastic effects of climate change will be felt in almost all the 10 regions of the country. According to the National Climate Observatory, certain areas in the west, the northwest, littoral and other regions will witness severe floods, mudslides and other natural catastrophes between November 11 and November 20, 2024.
Délocaliser les populations en cas de dérapage. Ça, c'est fondamental.
Meteorologists and other climate experts affirm that climate change is a real threat nowadays and must be taken into consideration and collective action needed.
Plus que jamais, nous devons anticiper, car prévenir vaut mieux que guérir.
Besides mountainous localities of the west region, the southwest and littoral are also greatly exposed. This is because sea levels can drastically rise whenever it rains heavily in coastal areas.
Dont la proximité à la mer expose à des événements météorologiques et climatiques extrêmes.
Serge Mpele-Onana, head of the Department of Meteorology at the Littoral Regional Delegation for Transport, adds that the local population must take their personal safety as a priority. People must avoid volcanic areas, no construction in marshy or hilly areas.
Sur le plan individuel, d'abord, aux populations, d'éviter de se mettre dans des situations de vulnérabilité, notamment aux abords des zones volcaniques.
In case a disaster occurs, there must be prompt action from local authorities. Victims should be evacuated and relocated as soon as any threat is cited or announced. Acting on time, experts say, save lives.
And now to our cultural page. The people of Pingin in Santa Subdivision Northwest Region say they expect their new phone to mobilize energy and resources towards the realization of development projects such as roads, potable water and electricity in the village. They were speaking during the public presentation of their new phone. The senior divisional officer for Mezam, while presenting the new phone, reminded him of the need to prioritize peace in his development agenda. The presentation of the new phone to the population comes after 7 years of vacancy at the helm of the throne. Bostala Northwest correspondent with details.
Indigents of Pingin expressed both pride and hope as they welcomed their new Paramount ruler. Many see this new chapter, which comes after a 7 years vacancy, as an opportunity to address their long-standing challenges of poor roads, lack of potable water, and an epileptic electricity supply.
Through our elite, we have been able to secure enough funds to tar the road from Matadam right to Buzam and right to Bali. 3 times caterpillars have come to start tarring the road, but because of the political crisis, it has not been done. But now that the fund has come, I think things are going to go well.
The people also called on their new fund to tackle pressing social issues, notably child trafficking and gender-based violence.
We have a lot of child trafficking in this village. There's also a lot of gender-based violence. Those are some of the things we were addressing to our new fund.
Amidst the rhythmic beats of traditional drums and the rich cultural displays that define the Pingin heritage, the new traditional ruler was presented to an eager and hopeful crowd by the senior divisional officer for Mezam.
As the new Paramount fund to restore peace in his kingdom, unity, and do his best to bring development in this very big, one of the biggest Paramount Fondom in the whole Northwest.
The retired journalist Kenneth Asobo is now His Royal Majesty Fond Kenneth Kan Asobo III. His reign is expected to begin a new era for sustainable peace and an inclusive development.
Northwest correspondent Bostela, ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Human rights advocates paint a bleak human rights situation of Cameroon. Facts and figures documented by human rights and other civil society organizations project a disturbing situation of gross human rights violations. ahead of the presentation of Cameroon authorities at the 81st session of the Committee Against Torture. We decided to have one of the representatives who is currently in Geneva, Switzerland. He's called Bertrand Tiencho. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight. You are currently attending a high-level event aimed at underlining the commitment in upholding human dignity through the global fight against torture, which is taking place in Geneva, Switzerland. Can you please enlighten us on the objective of this particular meeting?
We are here in Geneva to attend the meeting, one of the sessions, the 81st session of the Committee Against Torture. As you may know, the Committee Against Torture is a global mechanism that was established by the United Nations through the Convention Against Torture, and that has a mission to monitor and to also assess the implementation of the Convention Against Torture within all the countries that have ratified this convention, including Cameroon. Cameroon ratified the convention in 1986, so only 2 years after the convention came into force, because the convention was adopted in 1984.
So now, tell us, what are some of the stakes of this 81st session of the Committee Against Torture?
The main issue here is to evaluate the state reports, because the state, in accordance with Article 19 of that convention, has the responsibility to provide periodic report every 4 years. The first one was presented in 2016, and then that is the 5th periodic report that Cameroon is going to present. And we as civil society organization, we are also here to have discussion with informal discussion or formal discussion also with some member of the committee to also bring forward our view as civil society organization, and also our perspective, because sometimes the report of the state may be weakened in terms of absence of some data, of some information, and so that is why the United Nations, through the convention again, through the Committee Against Torture, has allowed civil society also to provide what we call NGOs reports. So we are going also to have our view and to showcase some of the issues concerning torture in our country.
Let's now focus on Cameroon. From a human rights perspective, how you rate this nation as far as the respect of the United Nations anti-torture mechanism is concerned?
What do we say concerning Cameroon when it comes to the implementation of this convention, or of also all the human rights body, all the human rights treaties that was adopted by Cameroon? I would like to say first of all that Cameroon has adopted most of the UN treaty bodies, human rights treaty bodies, treaty instruments. And concerning torture, Cameroon have ratified the Convention Against Torture, but still Cameroon has Cameroon still have to ratify the optional protocol, because there is an optional protocol that allows states that are trying to establish national mechanism on the prevention of torture. Of course, Cameroon already has its own national mechanism, because this national mechanism was established based on the law of 2019 that established the Cameroon Human Rights Commission. And this Cameroon Human Rights Commission, as a national human rights institution, has also received a mandate to play the role of the national mechanism for the prevention of torture. One of the big issues that we'll be discussing here is to also see how, because this national mechanism still is not yet validated by the subcommittee subcommittee on the prevention of torture of the United Nations. So what we're also advocating here is to bring the state, to ask the state to ratify that optional protocol, and so that our national mechanism will be fully recommended and will be fully accepted by the SPT, that is the Subcommittee on Prevention of Torture. It's a very important issue in Cameroon, since torture remains a general practice in Cameroon. We, as you know, we are living in the country. I mean, we have a lot of area where there are conflicts, and those conflicts also provide space to practice some torture, to have some torture cases.
The court case of Martins Zogo, pitting the state of Cameroon and some top personalities, has been adjourned severally, leaving family members and Cameroonians in general in suspense. Many are even doubting if those who have a hand in his death will be punished accordingly. Will this case be raised during this particular session?
Martins Zogo is also one case I think that will also be addressed by the committee. Yes, this is one example among many other cases that we have in Cameroon of how some of the state agents or some of the state institutions are misused by their opponent or by some of those agents to torture citizens and also to torture journalists and civil society actors that are doing their work. So it will be also, it's a case that we also highlight in our report, NGO report, and also we are asking the government to to move forward in the process of establish the truth concerning that issue, and also to condemn or to punish all those all those people who were involved in that.
Now, Bertrand, a video of a Cameroon artist known as Simon Lonkana, commonly known as Longe Longe, being tortured by security forces was published on social media. Any hope as far as this case is concerned?
Yeah, a video of Longe Longe is this is also one case. I think the Minister of Defense in Cameroon has taken his responsibility by, he told us that he has opened an inquiry, internal inquiry within his ministry to know who are those of the military officers that are involved in this case. It's very important also for the Cameroon government or the Cameroon state to build the confidence and to ensure also the international community and the human rights committee, the committee against torture, that Cameroon is an exemplary state when it comes to protecting the citizen and also fighting torture and even preventing it. Prevention is also a very important issue. That is how to establish a framework that will avoid us to move into, avoid act of torture to be perpetrated.
What about the ongoing conflict in the northwest and southwest regions? These areas have become epicenters of acts of torture. These acts are either committed by the military or separatist fighters. What can be done to change the narrative in these conflict-hit regions?
I think we have been talking about dialogue. That is one of the issues that was our position since the beginning of this crisis in 1916. That is dialogue among all the actors, and also there are serious issues concerning the non-state armed group that are still operating, and it's also important for the government to build confidence with the population, to make sure that so that people will understand that the security forces are not there to maltreat the population, but are there to protect them. Changing the narrative in this crisis is also to change our practice, and we change the attitude of the state forces that are there, but also trying to create space for dialogue, space for positive and also non-violent communication that will help the community and also the security forces to come together, and the civil society, also the media, to come together and find solutions to the different issues that are affecting the population.
Bertrand Tiencho, human rights defender, speaking to us all the way from Geneva, Switzerland. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for choosing ETV all the time. Have a wonderful evening. Coming up next in a few minutes is Equinoxe Soir with Serge Alon Odu. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.